you. Good morning, everybody. Shana Tova in advance. Hope we all have a good one. And thank you for being here. Thank you to Stephen, our indefatigable impresario who sets it up with such grace and every time. And it's a special honor to do the last one of the year. Goodness me. So Old Lang Syne and all that. Coming right up. Let's have a good one. Rav Nachman of Breslav discerns a connection between the Yom Noraim and the land of Israel. He quotes a Mishnah in Kelim, which says that there are 10 levels of holiness in the land of Israel. The walled cities, the city of Jerusalem, Mount Moriah, Temple Mount, the area within the surrounding ramparts, the women's courtyard, the courtyard of the Israelites, the priestly courtyard, the area between the altar and the entrance hall of the sanctuary, the building of the sanctuary itself, and the Holy of Holies. So 10 levels of holiness. Each area listed is holier than the one before, culminating, of course, with the Holy of Holies. And these correspond, he says, to the 10 days of penitence, beginning with Rosh Hashanah, finishing with the end of Yom Kippur. As we learn through these 10 steps, we come closer and closer, as it were, to the divine presence, until at the 10th step, we can barely exist next to God. That was the rarefied, heady atmosphere of the Holy of Holies itself. And indeed, the high priests who were not able to lose their own personality in God when they entered the Holy of Holies actually died there. And in the Second Temple era, when sadly there were high priests who weren't worthy of that office, the high priest was sent in with a rope tied around them, a long, long rope. So if they passed away in the Holy of Holies, they could be pulled out. You had to be very special to be able to become one with God in the Holy of Holies. And we can see some clues between, some clues as to the association between the Yom Noraim and this ascent to the 10 levels of holiness in the land of Israel. So, for example, the first encounter that we had with the natives of Israel was the famous story of the city of Jericho, where the walls came tumbling down. That was our first level in the land of Israel, corresponding to Rosh Hashanah. And what did they do to make those walls come tumbling down? They blew the shofar. So there's a connection between the first level of holiness in the land of Israel and Rosh Hashanah. And the final day of the 10 days, Yom Kippur, includes a unique offering or set of offerings inside the Holy of Holies, where they would, the high priest would offer sprinkle some blood. The Domin Ton Hazoya Al Ben Abadin, it says in Ezer Mekayman, the blood from the offered goats and bulls would be sprinkled between the poles of the ark inside the Holy of Holies, and there was also incense that was offered there. So we see that the 10th level of the land of Israel, the Holy of Holies, has a special association with Yom Kippur, the 10th day of these 10 days of penitence. The prophet Yeshaya further describes the Jewish people being gathered from exile to the temple. It's a famous passage. But it's from the Haftarah for Shmois, my own Haftarah. It will be on that day, Yitokam Shofar Gadol, a great shofar will be blown. Uvo ha'ovdim be'eretz Ashur, and those who are lost in the land of Assyria will come. V'hanidachim be'eretz Mitzrayim, those who are banished in the land of Egypt. V'shtachavu l'Hashem b'har ha'kodesh Yerushalayim, they will prostrate themselves before God in the holy mountain in Jerusalem. So you see again, this process of approaching the Holy of Holies is triggered by the sound of the shofar. That's what the prophet Yeshaya says. And in fact, in Chassidus, there is a special commentary made on this verse about different kinds of alienation from God. You get some people who are like the Nidochim Be'et Mitzrayim. They live spiritually in a very constrained way. They feel miserable. They feel limited. They feel hedged in by their circumstances, their health, their finances, their own mindset, and there's very little they can do to get out of that. And they're in a very tough spot. That is the Nidachim Be'eretz Mitzrayim. You get other people who are Ovdim Be'eretz Ashur. They are lost in the land of happiness, and this is where one is in a spiritual la-la land, where one is very jolly day to day. Let the good times roll. Everything's fine. The distractions and pleasures of this life are all around them, but they are oivdim. It's worse than the Dach, and they're not just banished. They lost altogether. They disappear. They lose themselves in consuming these things that are offered to them, and there's nothing left of them. And yet the shofar will summon them back to a spiritual holy of holies. And this is the process that Rosh Hashanah through to Yom Kippur offers to us. So I bethought myself to think whether perhaps there's some sort of feel that we can discern in going to the land of Israel that we can apply also to Rosh Hashanah. And I thought, well, if somebody goes to the land of Israel with a preconception of, it's the land of our ancestors, a land that's so famous, a land that has such holiness, mentioned and defined in the Torah, and so many special things happen there, so many special rituals can only be done there. So obviously, somebody who goes to the land of Israel in an informed state of mind, as soon as they touch down, all these things will come to mind. So I thought, what can we find about the mindset of the land of Israel that won't be, as it were, prejudiced by Torah knowledge? And I thought I'd look up online an account of coming to the land of Israel from somebody who knows very little. And this is what I found. It's somebody who participated in the Israel trip who knew very little. And so here's an account of this person's experience of coming to Israel for the first time from America. A participant from our trip was walking away from the Kotel crying. When asked about her experience, she answered, "I just had so much to say to God. I realized she probably feels that way because admittedly, she doesn't pray regularly, but the holiness of the place, coupled with seeing so many others pouring out their heart, makes it that much easier. It was as if she gave herself permission to have that relationship with God for the first time in a long time, as if she hadn't seen a loved one for so many years, hadn't visited, hadn't called. Then, upon reaching the Kotel, it was like she reunited with her loved one, got a hug, and just let go of all she had been holding in. The physical proximity to such a holy place and all the others around allowed her to experience that closeness." This is somebody who didn't have much connection with Judaism, and yet they felt something very special that moved them to tears. And if we are if we are lost in one way or another, that's what Rosh Hashanah can do for us as well. And especially Yom Kippur, the peak of it all, it can move us as much as one's first trip to the land of Israel and the Holy Temple precincts. And this writer goes on to say, the challenge is maintaining some semblance of that feeling when not in Jerusalem, when not at a place as holy as the Kotel. By definition, it can't be the same because God's presence, or Shekhinah, is truly strongest there. But perhaps having this experience of spiritual catharsis in Jerusalem can help us keep the channels open for greater communication between ourselves and the Almighty on a more regular basis. And likewise, it is for us too, that when we capture this time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and it should move us, and I hope it will. But the trick is, when we're in the dank, dark days of November, and you come to shul in the mornings by moonlight rather than by sunlight, nonetheless, we can treasure up the emotions, the insights of this special time that's almost upon us, and use that to inspire us and keep us going throughout the year in a better way than before. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rabbi. I'll- See you all at Kativa Chatima Tova. Those of you on Zoom, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in Shul or on Zoom again in the future. And I'm just going to do